in a minute, and then we can see him and hear him.
Even if I go upstairs, you're gonna still hear.
Hey guys, we're live, and we're live with Nicole's next door neighbor mowing the lawn. So we've got some extra special guests today. But Shelly, Loftin from the ABA, and myself are happy to have you both, have you all here today for an unconventional convo with our wonderful bank boards. As well as previous advisory board members as well. We're super excited to have you here today. And so far, the conference, the Unconventional Conference, has been amazing content. We were just all talking about how kind of intense the day has already been, and the group text messages and the laughs and the memes and all of the fun things that you would expect to see at conference continue to live on even in the virtual world. But thank you for being here today. Just for those that are online that may not know me, my name is Jody Guetter. I'm the CMO of Social Assurance. Ex-bank marketer, was the Director of Marketing and Sales for a community bank for 7 years. Recently jumped ship, but still am a bank marketer at heart, and super pumped to be a part of the conference. I also worked closely with Shelly and the team on the framework for the conference. I'm the co-chair with Chris Nichols this year, taking the torch from Johnny O and Karen Partee from last year. So I hope that we made you proud, John. But if you don't mind, I'll go around, and if everyone can just introduce themselves for those people that don't know us. And if you'd like to share a little story of how we met, how you met Shelly. If it's PG, Johnny Oxford would be preferable. But Shelly, if you don't mind, you're the unpredictable one of the bunch. So we thought we'd kind of put that disclosure there. But Shelly, if you don't mind introducing yourself to our online audience today, that'd be awesome.
Sure. I'm Shelly Loftin, Senior Vice President of Retail Payments and Lending for the American Bankers Association. I met Jody years ago working on the ABA Bank Marketing Board, and same with this amazing group of bankers that we're here with today. And I'm just glad to get to hang out and be a part of your conversation.
Awesome. Thank you, Shelly. Nicole, I'll go to you.
My neighbor's name is Al.
Hi,
Al. So Nicole Almeida, I'm Chief Marketing and newly Chief Diversity Officer for Bay Coast Bank. Started with the ABA, so I've been a banker forever. It feels bank marketer for the better part of the last 4.5 years or so. So started with ABA at Bank Marketing School. I've been on the board and council, and then I've been attending the conferences ever since. So these are some of my favorite people. So I'm happy to be here.
To have you. Teresa, I know you don't need much of an introduction, but sure, please, for those that have not had the pleasure yet to meet Teresa.
Well, I'm Teresa Wendhausen, and I appreciate being invited to join you. I'm the branding and communications manager for First National Bank and Trust of Beloit, Wisconsin. It's cold and it's snowing here, so welcome to the north. I have been involved with the ABA forever. I graduated from the School of Bank Marketing and Management a long time ago. I joined their school advisory board several years ago. I teach the PR and communications course for the school. I'm a huge advocate for the ABA. I've attended multiple conferences, and I absolutely love doing this. This has taken my fear of missing out, my FOMO, to a new level this year. So I'm just excited to be joining you guys right now.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you. And typically, for those that don't know, typically it's Teresa's birthday at conference. And normally we have a pretty big celebration, and we didn't get to have that this year. So we've got lots of catching up in 2021.
Like celebrating your 29th birthday with 800 of your
yes. Shelly.
Oh, me. Hi, everybody. Yes. Hi. Sorry about my vision. It's not the right way. Sorry. Apologies. Technical problems. Shelly Regan. I am the Senior Vice President of Country Bank, and Jody, myself, and Nicole went to Bank Marketing School, where Teresa was our teacher. But we were the Rockstar group, and so I'm really happy to be joining you today. And what a day already! I can't wait to dig in.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you. Miss Sia.
Hi, I am Sia Vancia. I'm the Chief Brand Officer here at Connect One Bank, and we operate in the New York, New Jersey market. And I spent 3 years on the ABA Bank Marketing Board with this awesome crew who has rocked my world ever since I met them. And so I've loved being part of the community, learning, bouncing ideas off of, sometimes commiserating with people who kind of just get the banking world and especially the bank marketing space.
Oh, we're so happy to have you. Thank you, Sia. Now again, Johnny Oxford, please introduce yourself and tell a few tales while you're at it.
No, John Oxford with marketing at Renaissance. Try to stay out of being a liability to human resources is probably my biggest problem with my job, that and compliance. But no, I'm good with all that. So anyway, just happy to be here. As they say, my intro should probably just be Teresa's with a few caveats to it. Been here forever, served on the board with I think most of you ladies, if I remember it right. I think we've all served together at some point on a board or a Stoneyear or something together, or bank marketing school. So I believe I know everybody pretty well, and just happy to participate and be part of this esteemed group.
Awesome. Happy to have you. And for those people that don't recognize, that's a whole lot of Telly Awards in the background there that Renaissance team has achieved. And so I thought I would bring my one to the table just to kind of try and compete against him. I've got a few years to go, but I thought, what's a little friendly competition between bank marketers? So I thought I'd bring that up.
I had my feelings hurt because I couldn't win any of the Brand Slam Awards, Shelly. So I had to put my trophies behind to remind me that we can still win some things sometimes. So anyway, congrats to those winners. I'm put out by it. I quit. I'm done. Just kidding. No, anyway. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So speaking of Brand Slam, I have to give a shout out to Cheryl Johnson at the ABA. I feel like she's been trying to push this Brand Slam in, like sneak it in for the last few years, and she's finally got it. So like her legacy there. But there was some amazing submissions for the Brand Slam. Did anyone get a chance to review some of the content today for that? There was one that I thought was a little bit of a tearjerker for me. First occurred in National Bank. So their Life is Not Cancelled video, I thought was tremendous.
I absolutely loved the format of that this year. I thought it was amazing how they were able to get the story, the behind the scenes story out there. And I think that's kind of been what's missing all along. So I love seeing the final product, but I think that behind the story is more telling than anything. I thought that was cool.
Right, just the evolution of something being kind of conceptualized through to like this execution. And I thought it was really cool too to hear actual like results as well. I think it normally like where at years past we're all left going like, okay, well, like how did it actually do? Like what did it actually accomplish? So I thought that was really cool to kind of get that additional insight there.
Yeah, that was great.
I watched the one with the puppies, and they had the little headscarves for the puppies. Now, I'm a new puppy mom, so I was like, that was a really good play on like everybody staying home in quarantine and getting puppies. I loved it. It was great.
and you have to share your puppy's name with the group.
Oh, so his name is Cooper Bradley Doodle. He's on Instagram if you want to follow him.
And he's gorgeous. He's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I wanted to bring up, and I have to talk about it because every year after conference, we always talk about like conference is like therapy for bank marketers. It's so therapeutic for us to get together and not only be around like-minded people, but as Sia kind of said, sometimes commiserate as well with some of the challenges. Like we get each other, we're like-minded. So I have to ask a few of you just how the last few months have really been for you. I know the whole shift of like crisis communicator has been really a massive undertaking for all of you. But having the close relationships that I have with you as well, like the rest of the world still keeps going, right? Like Teresa, you did a core conversion. Sia, you're actually in New York and dealing with like just the magnitude of what's happening. So I would be remiss if I didn't ask and kind of put you all on the therapy couch here for a few minutes and kind of checked in. How's life been for you, Sia, at your bank and in your community in New York?
So yeah, it's been pretty, I don't think I've ever had an experience like this in my life. I think, we saw in a period of 1 week, the whole world changed, right? Monday, we were a bit nervous. And by Wednesday, sports had stopped and everything was shut down. And it was specifically in New York City, it was really interesting to see such a radical shift, such a huge change in behavior and kind of a little bit of an emptying out. I think, so it was just physically, it was a strange experience. And then of course we all dealt with this new like virtual reality that we lived in, communicating through digital channels. I think we had to quickly pivot to this whole remote style of work. And many of us have had the technology in order to do so. I think it was a lot of like cultural, social shifts that we had to take on. I had to learn how to manage people totally remotely, as many of us did, day-to-day challenges. And then I think our style of communication has totally changed since the pandemic. And I don't know that we will go back to doing some of the things that we were doing beforehand. So it was an interesting, scary, but I think very insightful experience for all of us, because it's sped up a lot of our shift to digital. And it's really, from a communication standpoint, it's changed the way that we communicate and what is important to communicate about, in my view.
Yeah. And you and your bank, in my interactions with you and prior content you've either presented or helped facilitate at conference in the past, you've always been a big, obviously, advocate and conversation starter around innovation and implementing technology and just thinking differently than what we have traditionally. Has there been anything kind of unique or expedited throughout the last kind of 7-8 months that Connect One Bank has really focused in on and that you've maybe led the charge of?
Yes. So I think a lot of it is the things that we have talked about at conferences for so many years. I think this has been the greatest experiment in human existence. We just took everybody, every corporation, right? Yeah. Everyone that could work at home, and took them, brought them home and shifted the way that we work. And so very quickly we saw gaps in things that maybe we didn't spend a lot of time in, right? Data is now, I'm going to become like the next Hunter Young, because I realize how much we haven't done or how much further we have to go. Shout out to Hunter. I think that there's a lot of little things with infrastructure, tools, resources specifically for employees that have become so much more important. For so long, we talked about innovation as like the latest banking app and mobile deposit and features, and all of that still continues to be important. But I think small adjustments that enhance the way that we work, that make us more efficient no matter where we are, and working smarter, I think are the biggest things that came to light in our experience. Yeah. And we're certainly right, Shelly, in a lot of the themes, even like your notes behind you, that agility, right? Where there's a lot of the thematics between the content today too, all around like efficiency, agility, working smarter, as well as we go into this kind of next phase of building out marketing strategy and plans for 2021. Teresa, core conversion? Like, really? Like, you didn't have enough work to do in 2020?
We always got to keep it interesting.
Talk us through that, because like we've bombarded our customers with communications out of necessity in those early days of COVID, operational branch hours. And then you've gone through this core conversion, which requires a whole nother layer of, formal communications, right? Talk me through are you sane? Like, are you doing okay? You hanging in there?
I don't think I've ever been sane, but no, it was an exciting time for us. A year ago, we started planning for this core upgrade. We had no idea that a pandemic was going to hit. And, we shifted gears really quickly in March and April, tried to, bring, like Sia was saying, bring everybody into their homes, working from home, got that rolling really well. We actually delayed the conversion a few months. We were supposed to do it in July, decided we needed a little bit more time because, from lobbies closing to working remotely to the PPP program, our people were just exhausted. And so we took a breather a little bit, slowed it down, gave everybody a little bit more time to educate themselves on the new system, and then started communicating with our customers that this was coming and this was happening. We actually executed the conversion the weekend of September 25th. So it was a lot of work, a lot of great lessons learned, I would say. But I think timing as it was, hindsight, it's probably the best time we could have done it because that digital channel enhancement that we've been able to roll out to our customers has been a huge benefit. We've seen a lot of great, response from our customers on it, and so far so good. So, knock on wood, it's going to continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, I'm glad you said the kind of the people component to it. I was at a session earlier on the From Promo to President panel, Shelly, with Karen Party, Natalie Bartholomew, Kimberly Kashke, another board member and actually chair of the bank marketing school too. And we talked about the responsibilities of the bank marketer in 2021 and beyond, but the people component, right? Like the people capital and the people investment. And Shelly and I even had a conversation, earlier on in the week around that. That is such a critical component to building out the marketing strategy too, and investing in education, investing in talent. And that's becoming, I think, through learning, Sia, as well, is where those gaps are even culturally with skill sets and how people talk about digital delivery and innovation and supporting their customers throughout this, pandemic and, pending recession too. Johnny, you are probably, I think, the largest bank we have on the call today. Where is Renaissance at right now? How many branch locations? How many states are you serving?
Well, let me also state I'm also the most diverse person on this call because if you look, it's the first time I've ever gotten to be diverse in any bank meeting in my life because they always look like me in meetings, and finally I'm with y'all, and I see you've given me my own road to be diverse.
It just shows the face of bank marketing is a changing.
Let's get the beans out of the way, put him we've gotten to be about 15 billion. A lot of that helped with Triple P, and a lot of the process, a couple billion worth, if not 3 billion worth of loans there in a short period of time. The interesting part to me was that we closed our branches on March 18th. Yeah. So March 18th, we closed our branches. Today, October 19th, we opened our branches again. So today is the day we've reopened.
Wow.
Which is call right now. We have.
And did you open all of them, John? Are they all back open? All lobbies, drive-through?
All 200 of my babies are open today. So all 200 are open.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to Liz McIntyre and our social media and PR team for handling all this so I can be on here. But anyway, no, we've survived. It was one weird part was around March and April, we had a lot of people screaming on social media, close your branches, close down, everyone's going to die, close, close, close. And about 3 weeks ago, we started getting, why aren't you open? Open, open, open. And so the pendulum, as typical in bank marketing and banking in general, we need loans, we need loans. No, we need deposits, we need deposits. Same thing. Yeah. Why aren't you open? Why aren't you closed? Why aren't you closed? So I think the good bank marketers are the ones that are effective, kind of sit in the middle and figure out what that message is to meet each client and try to, make everybody know they're safe, but at the same time, make them know we're open for business.
Yeah.
Today, I guess you're asking what Renaissance doing as maybe the largest by assets on the call is we're open for business. Now we've had walk-in and drive-through. I mean, not walk-in, drive-through and appointment only, but today you can actually walk in the branch like a normal day other than having a mask and hand sanitizer by the door. I think our biggest challenge was just trusting our customers to, be the customer they are with a mask on, or letting it down to show real quickly who they were. That's it. That's the news today. If you want to know what's going with us, is we're open for business, sort of semi-usual. So that's where we are today.
Did you have a great deal of difficulty as you talk about like 200 locations across multiple states, and different states having maybe different mandates and different requirements? How did you kind of navigate the communication around that? And even like your team is spread out as well. What kind of challenges did you have there, or did you just, everything is the same across the board? We're just treating everyone the same.
No, there's some variation. I have to give a shout out to Emily Wright and Ashley Gambrell on our staff. They track that and do a report every day. They update it, and they have a spreadsheet, and it goes around to management, and they look at it. And then we have an internal comms team. They're actually out of Atlanta. It shows you how kind of diversified we are regionally. And they put together an email that we proof and partner on from time to time. But they usually send out an email. I don't know if there's a frequency of consistency in it, but they send out an email probably once a week or so that says, okay, in this market you can do this, and this one you can do that. But beyond what government's doing, we kind of have our own governance on it. So we can ask you, or ask that you wear a mask. We're not going to turn you down if you don't. We're certainly all wearing them, unless we're in a closed room like this all by ourselves. We're certainly trying to separate staff, so we have backup if someone gets sick. I've been quarantined 28 days myself over this time period. So I've had 2 14-day stints at home with 3 children and my wife. So God bless them with me when I'm home. But anyway, that's the story over here. So we keep our own governance, even if the local governance is at odds. It's we're a private business, even though we're publicly traded. So we're going to do what we want to do to protect our employees first and our communities and customers second, first too. But you know what I mean? We got to be comfortable going to work before we can serve.
Yeah, absolutely. Just not another layer of complexity too, right? When you're dealing with different government bodies. Well, thank you for sharing. So transition, let's talk about conference. Let's talk about like first impressions. I was blown away, Shelly, the whole bringing it all together, right? And it was, a year ago, Shelly, you, me, Chris Nichols, we were in DC, we were planning this conference, we were planning this content, and like all of you had to adjust course pretty quickly. It was amazing to kind of get into it today, get into the weeds, see it all come to life. I'd love to get everyone's kind of first impression of the Unconventional Convention. Nicole, can I start with you?
Sure. So I loved it. So let me just start by saying I did love it. However, it was overwhelming. Just where do I click? How to get there? Just the constant. So from a marketer, we're, and multitasker. So, I did the same thing. I stayed home. I was like, nope, it's like I'm at conference. I wouldn't be at work. No distractions. I'm going to sit home. I'm going to get my little tea and I'm going to watch this thing. And then it was like, I can access over here. I can chat over here. I had text, doing text. So it was better than I expected. So it's actually better that happened, because I would have, sitting in front of the screen, just watching a bunch of videos all day. So it allowed me to interact, but, until I had to get into it. Love the fact that the marketing, networking section was the most volatile, the most, we had comments, we were chatting back and forth. And so it did make you feel like you were sort of in person, but not, not in person. But I do prefer, from a, old lady perspective, I'm like, wait, how do you get there? I'm texting friends. I'm like, wait, where do you see that? I can't see that. I was a little technologically challenged, and my IT department will confer that I am typically the problem and not the tech that we're using. But I loved it. I thought it was a really great virtual conference experience. And if we had to be here, that was a really great way to have access to everything. I love the fact that I can go back now. I'll have access through the end of the year. So I had to keep reminding myself that I have time. Like
Right.
I was like, I really want to see this one, and I got to see Sean's, and I, want to click on this session, but I really want to hear the live session. And then I was like, oh, it's okay. Like, you're gonna have access to this for a bit. So I had to give myself a few minutes to kind of settle in. But I thought it was great the way it was done to make people feel like we were there without being there.
Absolutely. And we have our own personal concierge, Shelly, like on speed dial. Go here, click this button, go here. So that's been like amazing to have.
Do this.
We did have all the same experience, though. It is incredibly overwhelming when you first get in there because the amount of content that you want to take in immediately. It's like, yes, I want to hear this session with Chris Nichols, and I absolutely want to learn how to cook. I'm a terrible cook. Let me go check this out. Oh my goodness. And you just kind of have to take a second and go, again, I have time. I don't have to learn to cook while listening to Chris Nichols, while listening to Scott Gottlieb. Like you can take kind of a minute and pace yourself.
Yeah. Right.
I'm dying to know if the CFOs and CEO types were having the same challenges we were, or if it's just our, ADD that we have as marketers, that we have to be involved in everything,
Squirrel. There's like something shiny over here, right?
Yeah.
Well, and I was surprised too, like, with everything's been virtual for the last 8 months as well, right? And so how do we make this a different experience that is engaging, that does also have great content, and the people component, this community component to it. And I was actually really surprised that I texted the group too, like, normally when I go to conference, I get like the little like giddy like butterflies of like excitement, and you're running around the exhibit halls and you're getting your swag and you're doing all of these exciting things. I was actually really surprised that there was still that feeling. And I think it is a testament to the exceptional work from the ABA, but then also again, the bank community, right? Like just the level of engagement that we want to learn from each other and information share with each other. So I thought that was, really awesome. What about you, Sia or Shelly? I know Shelly was like writing a ton of notes and was like, I think you're on the leaderboard too.
I was. And then I was like, so Shelly Loftin, I have like all of these like things to ask you about how I get more points. So, you found the leaderboard, went big. And I'm like, but I did that. And I did this. And I have 10 of those. And I've watched 5 sessions. And I've, watched a cooking class. I was like, I think it's a lot of fun, just like being at, a conference. And, we have a group of, people who are always very well connected. And so we're chatting, texting back and forth. And we've got funny things going on. And we're trying to pay attention to the live while we're still streaming another one. So for me, Teresa, yes, ADD all over the place. But yes, I have 250 points, but I want to, say I probably should have like 450 points at this point, Shelly. But,
I'll have to check into the scorecard. I'm not exactly sure the algorithm there, but we'll see what we can find out, Shelly.
She's on a mission to get that ATV. She wants that ATV.
So I think one thing I thought was really great, which we've talked about in planning meetings as board members, is how do you get how do we plan the content out so everyone can access what they want to access? And it's always a challenge, right? You always have to choose. So I think the on-demand was great. I think people have more access than they ever had, which I think is almost even more important this year because so much, in my view, is changing for so many of us. And then we have at Connect One have done the bring your bank option. So like, as I'm like buzzing about, I hear other people like, hey, did you catch the Whole Foods guy? What did you think? Or earlier today, there were 2 of us in this room watching on the big screen. And so it's nice because, we've never as a company had that experience before.
Yeah, that's kind of unique to have. Like, so do you have like your CEO, like who's all in that kind of group, or is it like the bring your bank? Like
we did the bring your bank. So we have most of our executive team is tuning in, but then there's room for a few more. So we've opened it up to a few of the other leaders in the company. A lot of our Stonier people are joining. So it's definitely more people than would have been to any one of the conferences.
Yeah. And that's like, Shelly, one of the unique positions we were in, and Teresa, like with the board this year, was this we're bringing 4 conferences together into one conference, right? So it's not just this targeted content for bank marketers, it's bank marketers, it's CFO, it's the ag community, it's the CEO. And so it kind of gave us an opportunity too, to like, how do we tell our story from a marketing perspective to a CFO, to an ag lender, to a CEO as well, to be able to really showcase the role of bank marketing in their eyes as well. And so I think that there's been some good content that's kind of been geared towards building that business case to the value of marketing too. Shelly, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think when we first started this conversation, the goal was to elevate the role of marketing in general. And we saw on the live sessions today, as well as throughout threads and all of the 60+ on-demand sessions, that marketing and branding are just such a critical part of day-to-day operations. And really what the pandemic kind of brought to light is you're doing your business an injustice if you're siloing the marketing and communications function. And I think if you look through the content that's, labeled marketing and retail, but then you also look at the leadership content, the overlap is unbelievable. And I think it's really given us the chance to showcase and elevate that we deserve a seat at the table and we can help move forward these strategic initiatives. Yeah, absolutely. So John, Renaissance historically brings the whole gang to conference. Like normally you've got like Liz there, you've got the whole team. So are you guys doing the Bring Your Bank as well? Or how does that look like for your team this year?
So I think as a marketing group, we did 3 or 4, I think 3, whatever, codes to get in. I don't know who else did it from the bank. Typically our compliance group has pretty good attendance. Our wealth management group has pretty good attendance. The timing was a little specifically odd for us, being the first day we've been open, like 4 months or whatever. So I can't, this is not ABA fault, Shelly. That's our circumstantial. So little tough for everyone to hop on and spend a day when we're literally open for the first time, completely open in 4 to 5 months. So that being said, I miss seeing everybody, even if some of us just have a casual hey, or some of us end up going to dinner and having a good time out at wherever we go, what city ABA's in. So I do miss the human interaction. Again, I came off my second quarantine last Friday, so I'm really missing human interaction. So I'm missing a lot of friends. It's fun to see someone like Sean Hockenberry doing his branding presentation. I clicked through and watched some of them today. I mean, he was my roommate at ABA Marketing School in 06 with FMS. So like there's friends that I've had for 10, 15 years. Clark and Amber over at SMS, Josh Mavis, his crew over there. I mean, there's so many people that I don't see as much that I see at these, including y'all and other people. So I guess that's the big deal, is really just missing a lot of the human interaction with people that have shared, shared careers and shared advice, and even just the little like secondhand stuff I pick up on from conferences that I can come back and use at Renaissance is way more important than I ever thought it was. This is kind of a year where everyone's kind of their own cowboy out there, just doing what they can do to survive until we get back next year.
And John, I completely agree with that. If I could add on to that, that was, that's one of the biggest benefits that I have always seen with the ABA, between the schools and the conferences, the ABA Marketing Network, all the group sites. I mean, it's just phenomenal how you can talk with others that are going through the same things you're experiencing. I mean, when COVID hit, I can't tell you how many different groups of former ABA acquaintances that I was on, just trying to share ideas and how are you handling this and what are you doing to get past that? I mean, there's just been the network that you come away with is just amazing. So that's one of the biggest benefits, I think, of being involved with the ABA.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we talk about some content for a little bit? Like you brought up Sean, his session, how strong brands stand the test of time. I could not keep my pen going fast enough. The amount of quotable, just amazing content. And I know the FMS crew does a fabulous job, every time they present, whether it be Amber, Clark, or Sean. Who of you attended his session or viewed his session yet?
I haven't seen it.
You did, Nicole?
No.
Everyone did. John did. Nicole did.
Yeah,
I did.
yeah, he's great. I was rewinding.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what did he say? You know, I kept rewinding to to make sure I could get some notes, and so that was also great. But they're on demand. If I missed something because I had to take a call or while I was listening to it, I'm rewinding. I'm like, oh no, I think I missed that. What did John say? And so the steps to brand and
Oh, we lost her. We'll blame it on the lawnmower guy. He cut her cable.
No, but so to play off Nicole's role though,
Yeah.
I thought the Fiserv one on digital banking and digital, it's not really marketing, but digital banking had some good statistics in there, how things have changed with COVID. So I thought that was good. Sean's on branding had 4 points of reviewing your brand and going through it. I thought that was good. I thought the guy, and I can't remember the name of the bank, but they were like a smaller bank in the Midwest or something that talked about the digital only bank that they did. And what you said earlier, we're probably a little big here for us to really be able to scale down to do what they did. But I like his story, and like just hearing the story starts like, how can we further market our online banking and our mobile app? So it is, while some of it doesn't directly hit you, I think it sparks ideas. And so that's
right,
why
like to change the way of thinking, right? Like we get so confined to the four walls of our bank or our business, right? That sometimes it's hard to think that there's different ways of thinking, right? And coming to conference allows for you to think differently and understand that there are other ways to do things, right? Exactly. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
So those pre-done on-demand deals are pretty good. I mean, even if it's like nothing you're interested in, I think just having the access to it, watching it, if it's not for you, don't watch it. But I mean, I think I've done 3 so far, and they've all been, I mean, I've gotten a little something out of all of them, if not something.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it.
Yeah. And that was one of the things, Shelly, I don't know if you remember, like some of our conversation back in DC a year ago, right, around kind of the conference brand identity, right? And what we wanted to like give. And one of the things that we talked about too was, practical application, like tangible, like being able to have something, even if they're just these bite-sized nuggets of being like, oh, that's going to I can think like that, or I can take that back to my bank and implement that straight away. Like we need some of that mix of aspirational stuff, but we also need to be able to go, okay, what can I take back to my bank, whether I'm a $250 million bank or a $20 billion bank too. And so that's been really, really good to see. One of the things I thought was really good with Sean, sorry to keep going back to Sean's, I just wanted to look at it too. When you talk about statistics, John, he put some numbers in there from a Forbes study. And one of the things that we're seeing a lot of banks, at least talk about too, is budgeting and planning for 2021 and really like, where are we going, right? And I think a lot of bank marketers are coming to conference looking for those answers of like, what do I do next, or where do I need to go next? And he gave some really good numbers on banks that maintained and increased their budgets, banks that stayed flat, and banks that decrease their budgets based on, recessions and economic down cycles too. And so I thought that was a really good one as bank marketers want to maybe build their case when they get back to the bank of what do they need to do next. I think that there's some really good takeaways to kind of build into that strategic plan and, still maintain budgets going into 2021.
Yeah, I think he said that it was 400% difference between those that increased their bank marketing and to those who actually had decreased it. So that was a huge takeaway. I mean, when you put it in that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Shelly? Like, what other sessions did you go to that you thought were awesome?
So, I was speeding in and out of a lot of them, but I did pop into Chris Nichols' session, which I thought, obviously, he always provides great content.
It's Chris Nichols. He's like Yoda. Like, I don't know how many times I've just like put my head next to his, like hoping that there'd be a transfer of knowledge or something going on.
Yeah.
But
he has the 8.5 steps. One of the takeaways was creating that alpha, the customer relevancy, operating leverage, and then human capital, and really not doing what everyone else is doing or looking what they're doing. But, he also had a great set of slides, statistics as to, where you should be spending your time. The other thing that I thought was really cool, which I hadn't really thought about, so yeah, he is a brainiac, was more to the point that, try different things and put aside a little budget to do that. So experiment, whether that's, marketing on Amazon or marketing on Yelp or whatever, but take a little bit of your budget and do some experiments, realizing that they may or may not be winners, but to see what happens with them.
Right.
So I thought that was a good takeaway from his session too. Kind of like an aha, duh, why didn't I think of that moment?
Well, and that's a really valid point too, right? Like, we're experiencing a lot of firsts, and there's no proven method right now of how to market, grow your business, acquire customers, like do all of these things right now in the current environment too. And so giving yourself permission to learn about marketing as you're learning about like the new environment too.
Yep.
Sia, did you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I thought I actually have a question for you guys, but I thought as usual, the live sessions were great. I didn't tune into as many marketing sessions today as I would have liked to, but I got all night. How did you guys decide on, or Shelly, I guess this is really for Shelly, how do you decide on who ends up being like a keynote when you're combining 4 conferences together, right? So I've seen the insides of the marketing, but this is 4 different audiences. Because every keynote, many of us within the bank talked about like afterwards.
Well, and from a keynote perspective, because the audiences were so broad, we tried to get the ones that would overlap with the majority of these audiences. And I mean, naturally, the pandemic has thrown a wrench in everyone's year. And so we wanted to focus a little bit on that, which you could see with the health focus. Also, it's our annual convention, so there's always a political focus and what that's going to look like. So we wanted to get some of those tones in there as well, and mainly just based on the feedback from the bankers of what all they're struggling with and how can we work that into the narrative that's live. So I think with all of the live speakers you saw today, and that's the Uncon Day 1 takeaways from behind me, we heard all 3, agility, health and safety, and listening to customers in all of those keynotes. Those were really thread through all of them. And whether you're looking at it from a marketing lens or a CEO lens or a CFO lens or an ag banker lens, whatever lens you're looking through, all of those things matter and affect your decisions. And we're all kind of in this weird spot of what's the next normal going to look like? And are we going to keep this accelerated pace? Are we going to find a happy middle? Or are we going to kind of rubber band back to the slower pace we had? And, kind of like Walter Robb says, nobody knows what the rhythm's going to be, but it's got to be different. We need to set a different rhythm moving forward. And that's what we were trying to do when we were planning the event. And we've got a lot of keynote caliber speakers in the on-demand sessions for that reason, because we were really trying to make sure we hit all the hot topics.
Awesome. Thank you. Sia, so the whole food guy has your heart.
Yes, I said this in the chat. I really enjoyed, I'm a Whole Foods fan. But I enjoyed the conversation. And we talk about this offline a lot. I always think it's so important to look outside of our industry, because I think for so long, our industry has had the slowest shift in consumer behavior. Some of the fault is on the bankers, but I think our consumers have been a little bit rigid because it's money and it's a different kind of product. But other industries, I think the point he made today is we're not that different, especially in this response. And I personally think that we can learn a lot about where we are going next by looking outside. Like we have that advantage. And so, it wasn't necessarily technical, but I think looking at leadership, especially it's Whole Foods, it's Amazon, right? They're leading the way, is always so valuable. to us. But I think he did, for someone who is outside of our industry, I think he did a great job at drawing the connections back to banking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Charles in the CX on demand talked about looking to retail, like, bridging the gap between customer experience and technology, and you should be looking to find your next best thing is you should be looking to retail and other industries so that you can be 2 steps ahead once you find out what your customers want, and then you've already been out there looking to see what's out there and being able to make that change and be nimble. So it's true, you definitely have to look outside of banking because things are changing in that way.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my, I had 2 really good quotes from that Charles session. Shelly, I actually wrote down one of yours.
Oh no!
Customer experience is now other duties as assigned, and it's like everyone's responsibility, right? Like, I thought that was really good because, you talked a little bit too about how historically these functions have been like siloed, right? And that's a challenge that a lot of banks face with how do we integrate what we're doing across departments, whether that be communications, sales, and marketing. But a lot of these banks are investing in the customer experience, whether that be, giving someone a fancy title or creating a committee. But some of the key points that Charles did was really about integrating it throughout the entire organization. And so having this concept that it's part of your other duties as assigned, and it's just everyone plays a part in that, I thought it was kind of like just these little light bulb moments. And I thought there was some really good, again, practical takeaways from that session too that were really good. And then to your point, Nicole, as well, the listen to your customers. It is the foundation of what we do. From Charles too, it's like, don't get caught up in just the technology and just the innovation and the bright, shiny object that my old CEO would kind of lecture me about too. Like, there's still this foundational understanding that needs to take place of who your customer is, what do they need from you, what channels are they on, how do they like to be communicated with, what are their pain points, and then be able to then implement new tools and technology to service them. So I thought that was some really good takeaways too.
I think it's really telling too, the size of Charles's bank and then Ryan's bank within Arbest being 20 billion, that their focus is on CX, that they're reorganizing their organizational structures to support looking at their customer experience as a whole. I think that tells us as an industry and as marketers a lot about where we're headed. Yeah.
And I think what I've always loved about Charles, and another shout out to Charles Lefebvre, Fidelity Bank. He's also on the faculty for the Bank Marketing School as well. I think what is super cool, in my opinion, about Charles and Fidelity is he's an ex-regulator, man, and he's driving like customer experience, right? And so that tells me that it's a real cultural change, and it's a real cultural mindset that Fidelity has made. It's not just coming from a retailer or a marketer, talking about the customer experience. It's like, how do we be compliant, but be compliant in a way that drives an exceptional customer experience? And so I think it's such a unique marriage of roles. But yeah, in my opinion, I think that speaks to the power of it really needs to be a cultural thing versus just, again, a cool new trend or fad, I think. So I think that's awesome and interesting dynamic. But awesome. Nicole, I think we have time for maybe one more kind of content overview. Any other highlights for you, Nicole, or sessions that you're looking forward to in the coming days?
So I enjoyed the first keynote. So I enjoyed Bakari quite a bit. I thought he just gave some very, relevant, important information to, what's happening. And again, tying back to, making sure that this isn't just a fad, making sure that he said something, the illusion of inclusion. So a lot of times people do things to just say that they have, X number of women on the board or X number of people of color. And that they don't have a voice or they are not, part of the discussion or the conversation. And so I think that's, that's really important in the fact of, meeting people where they are. So, making sure that people who are manning or a part of the diversity conversation have a stake in the game, or that they understand where people are coming from, and that you're not just, money it needs to happen. You need to give money, but you also need to, help change the system. And so I just thought that his conversation was very well grounded and very practical. And, the fact that he said, he's hoping we don't miss this moment. And so that resonates with me, and I hope that we aren't. I think that the ABA has done great. And I loved his comment about, yeah, you're doing great things now, but let me talk to you in a year. So I'm also curious to see where we are in a year, but I'm so proud that the Banking Association has, taken the strides that they have, and, the Bank On, partnership and all of these things. So I just thought that was a really great keynote for the time, and, and kind of resonated hopefully across to CEOs and CFOs and to, to everybody across an organization. So
yeah.
Can I add to that one?
Yeah, go for it, Shelly.
What was really cool on that was he was saying that he was unhappy with his experience when he entered the bank, right? And so he went on and he tweeted, and so the power of social media, right? And so James contacted him. So I was like, I wonder if that's how we met one another. Was that their first, meeting? Is that James helped him because things matter, right? And so James was the one who reached out at the highest level to help a customer. So I was like, wow, that's really community banking, right? And that's what we do. But the power of social media, that was another takeaway for me, was that was pretty cool, of that connectivity between the two.
Yeah, absolutely. So content for the next couple of days, like I know we've talked a couple of highlights. I've got like the Fiserv one, John, thanks for sharing that, and the 8.5 steps from Chris Nichols. What is one of the things, again, as we come into conference, we're like, I need to get some answers on X, fill in the blank. Like, what are some of the things that are on your mind? I'll start with you, Teresa, of the things that you're like, I need to get this out of conference. I need to learn this. I need to get the answer. I need to take this back to the bank. What's on your mind?
Well, my heart is always with the communications and the public relations piece. And I think that with COVID this year, with PPP, I think that everything so far that we've seen with even all the keynotes have been very focused on, the customer experience, the communication and being quick to respond and things like that. So I think that's been fantastic. I noticed there were several on social media. I know there's several out there that I really want to see, and I'm glad that I don't have to miss out on anything. I can watch all of them if I want to, so that's exciting.
No FOMO this year, Teresa. You don't have to miss out on anything.
Exactly, but I think one of the biggest things that I've learned so far is the whole willingness to adopt, and agility that everybody has to have, regardless of what role you're in at the bank. It's important to just be able to get in with the whole team together and march forward with whatever direction you're taking. So I think that's the coolest thing for me.
Yeah. Same question, Sia. What are you hoping to get out? What's like the silver bullet you need the answer for?
So I think I'm going to piggyback off of Teresa. I totally agree. I think the way that we're operating, the way that I want to run my team and my department is, we want to do some of the same things, but we have to execute differently. And so I think what I'm looking for is better tools and resources to do that. I need smarter marketing technology. I need access to more data. I need to figure out that system to accomplish exactly what Teresa said, because I think there were some areas where we tripped up when going through all of this crisis communication.
Yeah, a lot of lessons learned, right? Yeah. Shelly, what about you at Country Bank?
Oh, me.
Yeah.
Fun.
What do you need to take back?
So two that I've been looking at, and started one of them was, are you virtually present or virtually powerful? And I've been talking a lot about this at, internally at the bank, about being on LinkedIn. We're not attending after hours or conferences, or, the sales force really kind of being out there and being present on their LinkedIn platform when we're not having regular connectivities. And I also to look at the 2030, how today's biggest trends will collide and reshape the future of everything. That's a Professor from Wharton, and I started also to listen to that. And to be honest, it was kind of scary, so I stopped because I was like,
it's like we got enough to worry about. Don't stress me out about 2030.
Yeah. So just really connectivity in different ways so that we can keep connected to our customer base or potential customers.
Yeah. Oxford, what do you got?
Yeah, a couple things. Real interested in hearing more and seeing more about the rapid mobile adoption that comes out of the pandemic and finding efficiency with your branching models. I mean, with 200 branches, how are they profitable? How are they not? Where is it going? Do you size them down? Conversations that had started going into 2020, but now it's been accelerated.
Right.
So is it more important to buy 2 new FTEs in a place and put them down to represent, or is it better to ramp up your mobile app or your online account and process, making it more efficient, quicker, and easier to fund with a debit card versus an ACH, and having to look up a routing number. So ideas that accelerate the table stakes of what we have to do to get moving forward. I like what Shelly said about using LinkedIn and being seen on social and being there in person versus just I posted. We put one thing up.
Right.
I always railed on that for years. If you've listened to any of our silly podcasts and stuff, but one thing we did, if anyone's looking out there, is because we can brag on our team, is Meet the Bankers. We did a campaign, took 50 of our bankers. We have 2,600 people. So yeah, there's obviously picking and choosing, but we try to do about 50 diverse bankers, and we did a little video interview with them, and we put up clips of it. Ended up making almost 1,000 pieces of content out of it.
Wow.
And so we just decided we were just going to own LinkedIn for the next 3 months because we knew we couldn't reach anybody else with any other platforms other than TV, and we weren't going to shoot new ads during a pandemic. So I think it went well. It's on Renaissance Nation if anyone wants to see the idea. It's not original. I don't claim it's original. I interview bankers and talk about what they do, but at least it got them in a conversation of their life on LinkedIn and got a lot of them more engaged in LinkedIn. So I think all of y'all, what you've said has been very relevant, very good. But when you ask me specifically, it's looking at mobile, it's looking at branch, and then it's looking at being present on channels out there versus with ramping up frequency.
Yeah. Well, and the banker thing too, it's personalizing digital too, right? And that's kind of another theme that we hear. How do you continue to be a community bank and personal in this digital world too? So ways to bring that story to life is key. Nicole, what about you at Bay Coast? What are you guys, thinking about, hoping to get out of conference?
Well, for me, we have strategic plan sessions tomorrow and Wednesday, so I won't be able to attend most of the day tomorrow. So for me, I was kind of scrolling through, taking a look at, like Chris Nichols' 8.5 Steps, a lot of more strategic thinking, thoughts and ideas so I'll be going to our strategic plan meeting tomorrow, and then tomorrow night be scrolling through all the sessions and trying to sort of brush up on some thoughts and ideas. So on Wednesday, when I go to strategic planning, I'll be like, well, I have this idea.
I have the answers for you.
So it was perfect timing today because I was really trying to get some, more global, topics and things that I could bring up at strategic plan. Sean's brand, we really do need to kind of look back and, and get back into that from a employee and customer standpoint, more data analysis. Kimberly said a lot of stuff with the promos to presidents. I mean, so I jotted a ton of stuff down. So for me, more strategic, and there's a lot of stuff, on demand that I think I can pull from, and even from the live session. So it's perfect timing. For me to look like a star in the next couple of days.
And I'll throw in to go with all of those topics. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to do the most human bank wins, but it's a great session and inspirational kind of topic that goes through there. And then there's a lot of good content in the innovation section too about digitization and fintech and the future priorities. There's some really good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you. Well, to wrap up, I've got a couple of more fun questions, if you will, just to kind of showcase to our larger online audience the wonderful personalities that you all have. So my hard-hitting question number one, who would be, out of this group, the last man standing at the end of the night?
Teresa.
Teresa or Oxford?
I would definitely not be me. 2020 has got me, hitting the bottle a little bit longer.
She's been warming up for the last 7 months.
I have to burn the candle at both ends. I just can't give up.
Oh, that's awesome. Any closing comments, Shelly, for the ABA?
No, just thank you all for attending and sharing your feedback with us. And we look forward to seeing you again and hearing more about the content you like or don't like.
Wonderful. Thank you guys. You're all amazing. I miss you terribly, but thank you for Snapchat and text messages and the funny memes. We'll see everyone tomorrow. We'll be doing it with another great group of bank marketers and advisory board members, and Shelly will be co-hosting again. And I'll see some of you at our virtual dinner tonight. So see you later. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.